Hello, Coach Holmes here, and today we're going to be talking about multiple events with and without replacement. And what I mean by that, with replacement is actually putting it back in. Without replacement is taking something out, but not putting it back in. So first thing we're going to do with replacement. So basically, for example, I have a coin and a spinner with 4 equal space, okay? So no matter what the head will be, I'm still going to get the 4 results, so it doesn't really change the order. So for example, if I flip a coin, there's only 2 possible outcomes, heads or tails. Now for the spinner, there's actually 4 different results, A, B, C, or D. And tails will be the same way, A, B, C, or D, because there's only 4 results out of the spinner. So by looking at it, I can actually figure out the probability of getting certain events. So for example, if I'm looking at the probability of getting heads and then a B, first off, I get a head and then a B. So there's only one result, there's only one possible outcome out of the total number of 8. So the chances of getting a heads and a B is 1 out of 8. Now if I want to get a tails and a C, again, there's only one tail and there's one B that comes after the tail. So again, it's just 1/8, or C, actually, my fault. But it's still going to be 1/8. So after I get a tail and I get a C, there's only one chance for me to get it out of 8. Next, I want either a tails and an A or a tails and a B. I want both. I want either one. So really, I'm looking at tails here. I can either get an A or I can get a B. So there's two possible outcomes that I want out of the total number of 8 outcomes. So, but if I simplify, I can actually simplify this by saying 1 out of 4, because I can divide both top and bottom by 2. And now I want anything but tails and C. So anything but that, okay? So anything with a head, that will work. Because obviously I don't want a tail with a C. But if I get a tail, I want A, B, and D, just not C. So that means I'm getting 7 out of 8. Now, this is one way of doing it, but imagine if we have a large number, like say for example, let's say we have 12 spaces in the spinner. Well, I'm not willing to draw out 12 different lines to get 12 different results. But there's a much easier way to actually figure out probability for multiple events. It's actually just multiplying fractions. So what I will do is I gotta think of the probability of getting heads, which is 1 out of 2. Now what's the probability of getting a B? Like if I just use a spinner, what's the probability of getting a B? 1 out of 4. Let me rewrite that 4 a little bit better. So remember, when we multiply fractions, we're doing top times top, which is 1, bottom times bottom, which is 8. So 1/8 is the probability, which by the way, happens to be the same thing here, okay? So if I can just multiply the fractions, I'm gonna be in good shape. Now what about getting a tails, but not a B? What's the probability of that? Well, remember, tails is 1 out of 2, and to not get a B, there's 3 possible outcomes. Because there's A, C, and D without getting a B. So top times top, which is 3, bottom times bottom, which is 8. So 3/8 will be that probability. Now, what about the probability of getting heads or B or D? Well, remember, heads is 1 out of 2. I can either get a B or a D, which means there's 2 outcomes and I want out of the total of 4. Top times top is 2, bottom times bottom, 2 times 4 is 8, which I can simplify that by saying 1/4. Next, I want to get a tell and a vowel. Well, let's think about this. So I still know it's 1 out of 2. But as far as vowels of the 4 letters, there's only 1. So that's A. Top times top, which is 1. Bottom times bottom, which is 8. So 1 out of 8 is my probability. And that's how we get replacement, because we can actually go back and redo it, or replacing it. Just like how if we take out a marble, we put it back in the bag and draw again. Now this time I'm doing it without replacement, as in, if I have a bag full of marbles and I take one out, I do not put it back in, I put it away. So the chances are a little bit different. But we can still use fractions to multiply to find probability. So for example, we can just use my whole name here, and we're going to draw out the letters. We're going to draw out the letters of each name. So what's the chances of getting an O and an N? And then an N, Well, there's 1 O out of 12 letters. And let's see how many N's there are. There's 1. But remember, if I take out an O, I have 11 left. All right? So, if I want to find the probability of it, remember, top times top, which is 1, bottom times bottom is 132. So I have a 1 out of 132 chance of getting an O, then an N. Okay, that's pretty rare. Now, imagine if I draw an L, then an E. Well, let me get rid of this O real quick so we can see it. So let's think of how many L's there are. So there's 1, 2, 3 L's out of 12 letters. So if I draw out one of them though, and like I said, we just draw out one of them, I want to get an E. So I have 2 E's out of 11. So then I want to do 3 times 2, which is 6. 12 times 11 is 132. Which 132 simplified, I can divide both numbers by 6 to get 122. Okay. So again, I'm just taking a letter out and I'm not putting it back in. Now this time, can I do 3 letters at a time? Absolutely. We just got to multiply 3 times. So, but it's still going to be but I'm still taking 1 out, picking another one, and they're both going to be out. And here's what I mean. So imagine if I take a C out. That's 1 C out of 12 letters. If I pull it out, how many do I have left? I have 11. Not equals 2, but multiply. Now I still have my 3 L's, so I'm going to say 3. Now imagine if I pull this one out. How many letters do I have left? I have 10. And I want to pull out an N when there's just 1. So 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 1 is 3 because I'm doing top times top. I'm still doing bottom times bottom, which is 12 times 10, 11 times 10, which is 1320. But if I simplify that, I can divide both top and bottom by 3 to get 144. Not 144. 1 over 440. 1 out of 440. So pretty rare numbers, pretty rare. Okay, so let's try that one more time just to get a feel of it. So if I look at H, I have 1H out of 12. I pull that H out, I have 11 left, but I have 2 E's. And then, let's say I pull this E out, then I have an S. I have one S out of 10 letters. Top times top, bottom times bottom. Which means 1 times 2 times 1 gives me 2. And then 12 times 11 times 10 still gives me 1320. But if I simplify that, I get 160. I get 1 out of 660. So what we got to remember is that with replacement, we can put it back in and redraw or reuse it. But without replacement, I pull it out and I don't use it again. So the chances of the second number would actually be a little bit different. It'll just be 1 less as I'm drawing 1 out. But what we got to remember is that when it comes to this, we can just multiply the fractions or the probability of each event and then multiply the fractions. Thank you and have a good day.